Hello everybody and welcome to another video where I take a look at the light novels that are popular in Japan. This time taking a look at the top 10 best-selling light novels for the week of April the 8th to the 14th of 2019. As promised, you can see I'm wearing the same clothes, so I did literally record this immediately after the previous video. I'm just trying to get caught up, and so let's get to it. At number 10 with 6,134 copies sold, this one is the alt-world spin-off of a popular manga series, and that is Bungo Stray Dogs Beast. As I said in the previous video, this one is an alternate take on the Bungo Stray Dogs series. It's taking characters who were heroes in the main series, making them villains, and of course likewise taking villains and making them heroes. Initially this one was sort of like a special offer that you could pick up when you went to see the movie Bungo Stray Dogs that was released theatrically, so now they are releasing it in light novel for the general populace. At number 9 with 6,308 copies sold, volume 16 of Rakudai Kishi no Eiyuutan, or, as we had the anime released in English, Chivalry of a Failed Knight. We do not have this light novel series licensed in English. In a time and place where one's soul can be morphed into a weapon, there are modern-day magicians called mage knights. Although Kuragane Iki is a student at an institution that trains mage knights, he has no particular talent in magic and is labeled the Failure Knight, or Worst One. Getting way less than average marks in the scorings, he was forced to repeat a year. But with the arrival of a new head of the institution, a new rule was created. Knights whose abilities are compatible, as decided by the board, must share rooms and attend practice and training together throughout their school years to bring up their abilities to the max. It is a rule to implement the absolute verdict of ability. Iki's roommate, Stella Vermilion, turns out to be a princess of another foreign country. Stella is a rank A knight, the type of genius in magic who only appears once a decade. When Iki walked in on her while she was changing her clothes, it caused a huge misunderstanding, which eventually ended in a duel between the two of them. The punishment for the losing side is eternal submission to the winning side. Forced to live in the same room and practice magic together throughout all their school years, how will Stella and Iki's relationship evolve? Gee, it's a light novel. How? I wonder. This one, I know a lot of people that would really like to see this series licensed. I have heard from quite a number of you, because it's always in the top 10 every time there's a new volume. I heard from quite a number of you just how much you enjoyed the anime. I know a couple of you have read like the fan translations, stuff like that you've really enjoyed it. For whatever reason, this isn't a series that's been picked up. And I mean, we've got a couple of sort of magic battle high school type series, but I would say this is probably one of the more popular ones that we have yet to even get a rumor of a license. And I don't know why that is exactly, especially when like Asterisk War got picked up and its anime was out basically the same time as Chivalry of a Failed Knight. So I don't know. It's just one of those mysteries I can't answer. At number 8 with 6,954 copies sold, Volume 5 of Isekai Nonbiri Nouka, or Farming Life in Another World. This one, of course, was on the list, the previous list. This one about a man who has spent a long time with a terrible disease, finally dies. It wasn't so much in the synopsis that I read in the last video, but basically he meets God, and God's kind of like, dude, like, sucks, man. What can I do for you in the next life? And this guy is like, I want to be young, I want to be healthy, I want to be outdoors. Hey, I want to be a farmer. And the reason he's got that in his head is because there was sort of this leisure farming show that he found really encouraging and peaceful and enjoyable to watch when he was sick, not to mention the fact that he couldn't be outside in nature. So that's what he decides to do when he's reincarnated. And this turns out to be a very, very mellow slice of life series from what the description of the series says, and basically what I have heard from all of you as well. Like I said in the last video, just another one of those sort of pushbacks against the whole live for a corporate type of existence that we have often seen, personified in Japanese culture. So I don't even know if that's still legitimate, or if we are seeing a bit of a pushback against that, or, maybe it's just people would rather be light novel authors and not be corporate slaves, and that's why they're writing books like that. I really don't know. I would be interested to hear if anybody has any insight on that. At number 7, with 9,100 copies sold, Volume 14 of Tensei Shitara Slime Datta Ken, or That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This one licensed for English release by Yen On, of course, just had a pretty popular anime air a couple of months ago. Was number 1 on the list last week, of course has slipped now, but still a very popular series, an isekai series, another in the line of people reincarnating as a non-human entity, although this one taking much more of a look at like the building a society, taking basically a bunch of disparate groups, different monsters and stuff like that, and bringing them together to create an actual unified society. So kind of a slightly different take, and one that I really enjoyed the anime, and as I said in the last video, one that I really feel like, gee, I should try and get back to the books at least a little bit, because yeah, I really like the anime, and I'd like to check out the stuff that the books were included that was left out of the anime. At number 6, with 10,615 copies sold, Volume 19 of Netoge no Yome wa Onnanoko jaないと思った, or, as we had the anime released in English, And You Thought There Is Never a Girl Online? No license for the light novels in English. After mustering up the courage to propose to a girl in an online game, naive otaku Hideki Russian Nishimura is devastated when she flat out rejects him. To make matters worse, the girl reveals that she is actually an older man in real life. With his dreams crushed and his heart broken, Rushin comes to an abrupt decision in the midst of his raging fit. He will never trust another girl in an online game again. Years later, Rushin is now in a guild with 3 other players, one of whom possesses a female avatar by the name of Akko. Akko is deeply in love with Rushin and wants to marry him. Although he entertains the possibility that she might be a guy, Rushin accepts her proposal, claiming that her gender doesn't matter as long as she is cute in the game. However, after a discussion between guild members that led to all of them having an offline meeting, Rushin finds out that Akko, along with the other members, are not just girls, but also his schoolmates. This series, again, very popular. I didn't hear much about the anime, so I don't know if the anime was just not well received or was just kind of an average adaptation, but this series, every single time a new volume comes out, it's in the top 10. And again, I don't know, maybe it's because I enjoy games as well, but I really like when they're mixing these sort of gaming and slice of life and gamers and stuff like that. I'm surprised we are getting more of this kind of stuff. This one, as I understand it, is obviously a comedy, and I believe one of the big sort of comedy things is that the girl, Akko, is kind of a bit of a chuny, and that she has sort of a issue separating Rushin as an actual boy and his character in game. I think that's kind of the part of the joke of the series. If you're familiar with this one, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. At number 5, with 11,262 copies sold, and wow, this title is a mouthful, volume number 6 of Itai no wa nanode Bōgyo-Ryoku ni Kyokufuri Shitai to Omoimasu. Or, I hate being in pain, so I think I'll make a full defense build. As far as I understand, we do not have this licensed for English release, but there is an anime that's in production, which obviously could see us get this licensed. After receiving an invitation from her friend Risa Shiromine, Kaede Honjo begins playing the VR MMO game New World Online as the character Maple. Lacking knowledge of the game, she allocates all her status points to defense. As a result, her movements are slow. She cannot use magic and even gets attacked by the rabbits. However, she obtains a skill called Absolute Defense due to maxing out her vitality points, and a counter skill that kills in a single hit. A mobile fortress-style novice with a poisonous skill that makes all attacks invalid and overrides all obstacles, she goes off to adventures, disregarding her irregularities. So, this one obviously on the list a number of times in the past, and like I said, has gained enough popularity. It is getting an anime. Another one of those VR MMOs. A girl basically, she doesn't, well, I mean, the title says it, right? She doesn't like the idea that she might feel pain in the game, and so she just maxes out her defense. And I don't know, you know what, have you guys, there is a manga apparently based on this as well. Have any of you checked this one out, either, you know, in its native language, any fan, I don't know if there's any fan translations of this one or the manga. What do you think? Like, where is this story going? Like, I'm guessing it's kind of taking a comedic spin of things. Maybe it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek. You know, we don't really often see tanks featured as the main characters. I mean, arguably, Rising of the Shield Hero is probably the only one I can think of where the main character is basically like a tank type character and is the main character. So what are your takes on this? If you have any, let me know in the comments down below. At number 4, with 15,744 copies sold, Meitantei Konan, Konjo no Fisuto, or Detective Conan, The Fist of Blue Sapphire. This is the light novel adaptation of the 23rd Detective Conan film, the world's greatest blue sapphire, the blue lapis fist, said to have sunk in a pirate ship in the late 19th century on the coast of Singapore. A local millionaire plots to retrieve it, and when it's exhibited in an exhibition at the Singaporean Marina Sands Hotel, a murder takes place. A bloody Kaito Kid announcement card is found at the crime scene. And of course, Conan must investigate. Yeah, so, you know, Detective Conan, what an insanely popular series. We have had it released in English as Case Closed. We do have the manga licensed by Viz. The anime is ongoing, obviously. I believe, if I recall, you can watch the more recent volumes or episodes of the series on Crunchyroll, but I think it was Funimation who had the license for the earlier episodes, and that license has expired, if I recall. I seem to remember us talking about that when the adaptation of the 22nd Detective Conan film was on the top 10 list. So if you have any insight into that one, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. At number 3, with 17,171 copies sold, volume number 6 of 86. This one we do have licensed for English release. Volume 1 has already come out from Yen On. A War Without Casualties. The Republic of San Magnolia has long been under attack from the neighboring Gyadian Empire's army of unmanned drones known as the Legion. After years of painstaking research, the Republic finally developed autonomous drones of their own, turning the one-sided struggle into a war without casualties. Or, at least, that's what the government claims. In truth, there is no such thing as a bloodless war. Beyond the fortified walls protecting the 85 Republic territories lies the non-existent 86th Sector. The young men and women of this forsaken land are branded the 86 and, stripped of their humanity, pilot the unmanned weapons into battle. Now, I've actually read the first volume of this one. I'm going to be doing a review in the next week. I'll be posting a review of this one. Man, what a great book. Wow, just like really well written. Very interesting in that it is most definitely a light novel. Like it does have very light novel-esque type things in it, but it deals with a lot of ideas that are very, very big. Dealing with the whole idea of racism, classism, how even like when people are oppressed, they will even oppress other people in their group just as sort of a way to try and feel like they have some control. And it deals a lot with like the horrors of war. And man, I won't get too much into it because, like I said, I'm going to have a whole video where I'm going to talk about the first volume. But man, a really solid series, and it has been on Kono Light Novel Gal Sugoi the last 2 years, and for good reason. Very, very well written. The first volume in particular I thought was phenomenal. It'll be interesting to see how the series goes from there. I'll definitely be checking out some more though, just based on the strength of the first book. At number 2, with 25,733 copies sold, Volume 5 of Fate Strange Fake. We do not have this licensed in English, just showing you how the Fate series can be... It's ridiculous, the Fate series, man. Like, really, like, everybody put your hands up that can keep up with this series. Yeah, no, I don't know. There's like so many iterations and variations and everything else. This one, interestingly enough, though, it's written by Ryogo Narita, who's the author of Durarara and Bakano. And according to Wikipedia, it actually was initially started as almost like a practical joke on his website, and then, surprise, surprise, Fate is super popular and makes a lot of money, so now we have a series. The story centers around a Grail War faultily copied from the Third Holy Grail War in Fuyuki. After the end of the Third Grail War, an organization from the United States that has magi separate from the London-based Mage Association as members took data from Fuyuki's Grail War and planned their own ritual. After 70 years, they used the city Snowfield as the sacred land for their own Grail War. They were unable to successfully copy every aspect of the ritual, which led to it acting only as an imitation that has lost the saber class and allowed for the summoning of strange servants due to the definition of a hero being blurred. So, I mean, if you're a fan of the Fate series, this actually sounds like a very kind of interesting take that instead of heroes being summoned, I guess they're saying that the lines have become blurred of what a hero actually is. And so it's allowing all sorts of very odd servants to be summoned. I don't know much about this one in particular. I mean, I've watched some of the Fate series, like Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero. But, again, it's not a series that I've managed to keep up completely with, nor have I played like the mobile game or anything else like that. So if you have some insight into this series, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Finally, at number 1, with 66,359 copies sold, Volume 28 of Mahoka Koko no Reitose, or as we have it in English, The Irregular at Magic High School. This one, like I said, licensed, we are getting it from Yen On. The year is 2095. Magic has been tamed as another form of technology, and the practice of magic is now a rigorous discipline. Brother and sister Tatsuya and Miyuki Shiba are just about to start their first year at the renowned First Magic High School of Japan. But the school's ironclad rules mean that the brilliant Miyuki enters this prestigious Course 1, while her older brother Tatsuya is relegated to Course 2. And that's just the beginning of their troubles. So we talk about this series every single time there's a new volume because it is ridiculously popular. Like, I mean, basically almost, 2 2.5 times the sales of the #2 title, and will remain on the list for at least another couple of weeks, obviously, because that always happens with this series. Super popular, like, wow. I'm really shocked. Like, there was the anime, and then there was a movie, and yet there's been no announcement of a new anime series, which I find really surprising. In any case, this series, obviously, it's a magic high school battle type series. Hey, there's a magic high school battle series that I've been talking about. I've only watched the anime, and I've only read the first 2 volumes of the light novel series. I found it hard to get into because the description of the magic I found was almost like reading a textbook at times, and kind of took me out of the action. I think a lot of it, though, was because I had recently read the anime, or watched the anime when I started reading the book, so it was just, there was too much, like, I already knew what was going on, but that's why I've sworn off watching anime if I haven't read the books yet. In any case, this series, it goes all over the place. There's obviously the battle between high schools, then there's like a terrorist attack in one arc, and it goes on. And of course, Tatsuya is in course 2, but it's a light novel, so Tatsuya is really not as inept as what the system seems to think he is, and blah blah blah. So in any case, this series, very popular, and I don't know, there was some rumors, like, I remember a number of volumes ago there was some talk like, oh, it's ending, but then some people said it was unclear whether it was just the arc was ending or whether the series was starting to wind down. I really don't know. Again, like I said, I haven't followed it, so I'm guessing, though, that it's still going pretty strong, because I haven't seen any official word that the series is ending anytime soon, so I'm guessing it was just in regards to an arc, because, well, yeah, 66,000 copies sold of this volume. I can't imagine the author, unless he's sick of it, I can't imagine the author is going to end this anytime soon. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Philip Vossenberg, Jean-Luc Chartier, Mirage, Megas, and Ki Duong Ungayen for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons whose contributions allow me to pay for my software, to do all of my editing, the images, thumbnails, and everything else, as well as buying books, paying for additional hosting for the podcast. All of those things, their help goes a long way to supporting. So those are the top 10 for April 8th to the 14th of 2019. I've got notes prepped to continue on with this series, so I'll be recording more. Maybe not today. I think I'll edit these ones and get them posted first. But in any case, I'll also have some reviews coming up. I Shall Survive Using Potions, as well as 86, as I mentioned earlier. So watch for those ones as well. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.